Hi, intrepid viewers. How are you doing? You know, I worry about you guys sometimes. You're always on my mind, as the old song went. You know. So, since we last spoke, we had that weird story that young Baron Trump was being asked to step into politics. Thank God Melania is enough of a she-wolf to nip that in the bud. You know, she's about nothing if not preservation. So that has subsided. But in other news, Michael Cohen has given his testimony. I'm sure there'll be more. But after last week, where he went off a bit crazy on social media, and we all thought, oh my God, he's going to get a gag order too. He pulled right back and apparently gave very dignified, thoughtful testimony. So that's good. Now, we have to return to Judge Canon, to Aileen Canon. So Glenn Kirschner has put out some good stuff on this. I'll come back to that in a moment. So surely now she has basically said there'll be no trial this year. Don't know when. It's time for the 11th Circuit of Appeals to act. So a viewer or more than one has asked me, will they do it? Will they do it? So tarot, like a lot of things, changes as the energy shifts. Outcomes shift because we are a collective and we have free will. And finally, this week I saw the word outrage. People are actually outraged about this. And given that most decent thinking Americans are exhausted from the gaslighting and the nightmare, I was pleased to hear the O word. So, outrage. Will this prompt the 11th Circuit to do something about Aileen Cannon? Look, as I said the last time I read on this, she has been incompetent enough to give them fuel, right? They don't have to stretch the elastic to find reasons. And I'd say a judge who after a year or something can't even set a trial date, that's up there for her third strike. But will they? Will they? The 11th Circuit. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm pleased to see that. I've forgotten what the star looks like. Oh, 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 oh. I'm so used to the grim news, I'm just having to adjust my face. So this is very good as far as I'm concerned. Oh, please, Matt, be right. Okay, bang in the middle. The star. The star is about inspiration and hope and the big ideas. This is Statue of Liberty territory. Bring me your huddled masses. This is luminous. You know, this is my star of the good things about the American dream. And I was thrilled to see it. And then I thought, what else? You know, so let's have a look. Underneath King of Pentacles, it could be the Yeti himself, and it could be someone else who's very wealthy and powerful. But remembering with Pentacles, it's about the power. So this circuit has power. What's in the past around this issue? This is why people are outraged. Having not gone into a civil war after January 6th, most Americans put their faith in the system. Swords are communication, the intellect, and the justice system. And your hearts have been pierced over and over. Okay, but that's in the past. I'm loving that. The past meaning now, right? This is what's motivated this outrage. They want the system to work. The Hierophant is about everything that keeps a society structured. So it's the legal system, it's the political system, it's the social system, even down to small things. Why we put on clothes before we leave our house is a social convention. This is about the social norms, right? The Hierophant on top of this reading, and outcome celebration. So I think the 11th Circuit is either going to do it, or maybe the pressure's getting too much. She could recuse herself. Imagine, just imagine. So in either event, I think these new legal threats on her must be freaking her out, even if she's been paid zillions. Just saying, entertainment purposes only. Even if she's been promised the world, there comes a point when it's really hard to deliver. And she's pulled her trump card, forgive the irony, and it actually hasn't gone down well. She would have been better to keep it stumbling around and stretching it out, but she went all the way. Ha! Please, let us hope that's right. Now, in other juicies, before I get to the next question, Trump in New Jersey. So many people came, so many people look at this picture, which turned out to be a picture. What was it? Was it a Rod Stewart concert or Bruce Springsteen or something when there were tens of thousands of people? And it was sprung on social media instantly. That was good. Okay, so now Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who's only there because the Dems saved his sorry little butt a few times, has said he wants all prosecutions against Trump to be dropped. Really, Mike Johnson? Really, stalwart of America? Okay, what? So let's find out what that's about. Let's find out. I mean, Congress, or as I call it, the Valley of the Hyenas, is not a functioning workplace. So I doubt he could get anything over the line, but still, this is what he's sprouting. Not thank you. Not I will stand and resist the worst mad excesses of my party. No, I'll join them. Mike Johnson's future between now and November. Let's have a look at Mike. Giddy up, Mike. Okay. The world. Now, the world is massively worried about what is happening with this election, sorry. It's also always the end of a huge cycle. I would say this even represents the end of the GOP as we know it, you know. I mean, really ask yourselves, how long can you support this folly? So he's coming to the end of a cycle. He's under a big burden. Well, look, you know, that's also the end of a cycle. I don't know. We know Marjorie's little flurry with fascism didn't actually take hold, but there's some very bad news coming in the form of stinky fish for Mike Johnson. He's going to try and carry on, but he might actually carry on out the door not through a Marjorie Taylor Greene, but hopefully a refiguring of Congress, he will be gone. Which brings us, of course, back to voting. I mean, how long can these people support a man with the brain of a goldfish, the morals of a taipan, and keep selling their souls out under the name of being good Christians? It's delirious extremism. They are fundamentalists. They belong to all those weird societies, you know, the Heritage Foundation and the Liberty Everything and the Freedom Caucus, and they always co-opt the best names to cover their skullduggery. Words fail me. Okay, now, while I'm shuffling, Giuliani, as if he's not in enough hot water, we've almost forgotten him. His accountants have left him. We're seeing this. There's a law firm, I can't talk today. I think I'm sleep deprived leading into the trip. So Giuliani's accountants have said, we will no longer work for you. There you go, Rudy. But I'm not going to read on Rudy. I want to read again questions. I've had a few questions on RFK Jr. I was hoping he'd fade into the night, and I think he probably will in the end. But the issue at the moment, according to viewers, he's just asked for a 45-day delay to hand in his finances. At least he wants to comply. That's something, to be in the electoral race. But he needs another 6 weeks. I mean, he's been on the path for however long. Don't these people have working accountants? Are they so busy hiding money they don't have time to do the basics? Anyway, he needs another 6 weeks. Now, so I had a bit of a look at RFK's finances. He earns 7.8 million a year as an environmental consultant and stuff. Now, I just want to stop there, a digression. I don't want to kick him in the shins and just say it's just him, but I don't know about you, but I'm really sick of people getting these colossal salaries for jobs. No one's actually worth 7.8 million in any job. Can't find the money for teachers to get better paid, can't find the money to pay nurses. But we pay these, usually men, not exclusively, gigantic sums of money. Right? I'm just over it. It used to be, here I go, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, a CEO would earn, on average, 7 times what their average employee on the shop floor would earn. 7 times, which was a lot of money in those days. Now, the average CEO earns 300 times what their workers earn. Thank you for the neocons. Thank you for Reaganism, Thatcherism. Australia went down this neoliberal model, privatise everything. And this is how the 1% has got its hands on 90% of the world's resources. Anyway, out of the digression, back to RFK. He's admitted he is part of a trust fund that does mining exploration stuff. It's called Arctic Royalty. I don't like the Arctic bit in that. That's a very fragile ecosystem. He had the grace to sell his shares last December, but he's still got some of his brother's shares. You know, it's very complicated. Look, when my dad died, I got left his pajamas. You know what? It was really simple. Anyway, back to this. So he's still got some of these shares, but the point is the rest of the family has shares in this Arctic Royalty, and it in turn own, well, leases land and stuff to companies who have been fined for pollution and regulatory infractions. This is Mr. Environmentalist. Sorry. Fracking. He came out saying no fracking for all the obvious reasons because it's so massively destructive. And then 4 days later walked it back. Oh no, did it impact negatively on the economy? Well, only because we have all lost 40 years of doing something towards a green economy. And Australia is one of the worst offenders. We sell all the filthy minerals to anyone who wants them. So, anyway, where was I? RFK, is he going to be in the race by the end? RFK. Oops. Quick look at RFK. Look, I think we'll hear more about him for now. He's not the worst of the worst, and no one can help the family they're born into and stuff, which has massive money and power, as I was saying, represented by this before. Although the Kennedys, before you comment, oh, they've lost cachet, there's a whole generation who doesn't recognize the name. I understand all that. But you know what? In the circles that matter, where big decisions get made and big money changes hands, I think people remember the name. Okay, so he comes from this position, and I actually believe that in his heart, he would like to do good things with the world, for the world, I believe that. I just don't think he's consistent. Okay. In terms of running himself, as opposed to conversations around the dinner table, he's an apprentice. I think he underestimated how much actual work is involved. There's a bit of a naivety about being shocked by the work. This is dual-edged, two-edged sword. He was hoping to be the one to cut through the BS, right? But actually he's sort of being skewered on it, because once you put your hand up, that's the end of any privacy you have. He's strategizing with his very strange running mate how to move forward. He's doing international interviews. I can't turn on any station anywhere in the world without seeing RFK Jr. End of the day, not going to make it, hun. So I hope he doesn't drag the Dems down with him. I know some people think he would take votes from the GOP, but the line's too fine. Too fine. So that's what I've been consistently getting for him. We'll hear more short term, but he'll be gone long term. Okay, so the next question du jour. Oh, yes. I've said before in these videos that this could end up being the battle of the VPs. We've got two men who aren't young, two men with pre-existing health problems, two men who are embarking on a year of unprecedented stress. So the VPs are really important. So given we don't know who the Yeti stroke Bino, billionaire in name only, we don't know who his VP is, even though he keeps throwing them bones and watches these gladiatorial races. Who can embarrass themselves? Who can abase themselves more abysmally than the person before? Hasn't got one yet. So I'm just going to have a quick look here at Kamala. Come on, Kamala. And then I'm going to do some cards on you guys. Come on. Oh, sorry. Her first card was the Magician. Then a time of frostiness. Not easy cards, but a good outcome. Okay. So the magician, I think, speaks to, she has to be everywhere all the time. Now, we all know VPs are supposed to take a very diplomatic back seat, all of that. Things are not normal. She has to actually be everywhere. And she's actually quite good at this, I think, still respectfully highlighting Biden, but I think she's able to transform the role of VP. I'm actually thrilled about this, and Biden actually needs that. Not everyone warms to her. It couldn't be a more difficult time with this 10 of Wands. I think what I've read on her before, this card, she's limiting herself a bit, and that has to stop, and I think it will stop, because I think she will go forward and shine. This is her intellect and communication skills will be on display for people, and I think this cut through with the swords, not everyone has a natural affinity with her, and I won't go into the reasons why. I've talked about them before, but this, I think, is very, very good for her. She will give Americans confidence in the judicial system, which it needs. I think she's also going to be fearless in terms of if Biden himself is still there for at least the first year of his presidency, I think he'll give her the job of cleaning out the judicial system, making significant changes. But here we go. Now, you guys, I promised you I'd go back to Glenn Kirschner. What you can do about Aileen Canon, and I'll put the link up on this video, and he describes in detail how to file a complaint about Judge Cannon's judicial misconduct, and he steps you through it. So it's really important not to just sort of shy away. What can I do? I'm only one person, right? That's a really good, juicy thing you can do. And the other good, juicy thing you can do is help other people. I know on this channel, many of you are blue dots in a red sea. So maybe you could start an online support group for people in red states, Dems in red states. You could start one in your area or reach out to other people if you're in a blue state that is relatively sane. So you're not as whooshed about all this, perhaps, as some of the others in red states. Communicate with each other, okay? But now I'm going to read some cards for you as a collective. Going forward, let's say we're in mid-May to mid-June. So let's say in the next month, what do we need to know? What do we need to know? Oh, that's good. Oh, reversal. Oh my goodness. Now, some of you will have been with me since 2017. How often have you seen me get a reversal? You could count them on one hand, even less than a hand. Not in this. This is celebration. Remember, we got that with the Aileen Canon. Wouldn't that be bliss? But there's something else to celebrate in the next 4 weeks. But we've got to remember we're in a very complex political matrix globally, right? And so we've got to take a win and a celebration where we can get it. Doesn't mean it's suddenly roses, but it means, you know what, go for it. The one that was reversed, my GOP card, fake happy families. And look at this. They are so going to have a significant trauma, a GOP collective trauma in the next 4 weeks that could be related to this celebration, something really significant. It could, it's right next door to the Yeti here, the Nine of Pentacles. It could be related to something, him or another sort of wealthy, comfortable man who in and of himself has perhaps too much power. It might be Louis DeJoy being removed from the board of the post office or something like that. It has to be big to come out in this sort of reading. Now, back to you guys. You have to juggle, let's say, your real life with a more spiritual, balanced way of being, because you're going to be buffeted on these rough seas, as we know. So the analogy I think that's useful to keep in mind maybe is if you're in a surf situation, you're at a surf beach. I'm not talking about actual board riders. You just wade in. You know how it is. These big waves come and knock you over. The secret to being in the surf, this moon card, is to go under the wave that's coming to you and come up on the other side and ride the next one in. So I want you to think about that imagery because it just sort of hit me really quite clearly. It's really important. Some of you are already doing it. Others are still really distressed and exhausted. You've got to look after your physical body. You've got to maintain your regular life, but also dive under the waves and ride the next one in. Here, do some deeper work and you will get the rewards. Love that. All right, guys, take care. I'm leaving Australia tomorrow, but I'll be keeping you posted. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.